Good morning. Today we are going to discuss about RH isoimmunization. So the proposed blood group system was by Karl Landsteiner. What is RH isoimmunization? Before that, we have to learn a little bit about blood groups. RBC cell surface has antigens called agglutinogens or isoagglutinogens, and plasma contains antibodies called agglutinins or isoagglutinins. A positive woman will have A antigen and A positive. The blood group of A positive woman will have A antigen and antibodies to B. Rhesus positive is different from APO grouping is different and RH is different. That A positive means the she has the person have antigen for A and antibodies for B. Rhesus positive means antigen D is positive. Rhesus negative means antigen D is negative. That is the both what we group according to us A positive, B positive, all those are two combining. That is A is ABO group and positive is rhesus positive and rhesus negative. So rhesus blood group. Rhesus positive means antigen, rhesus D antigen is present. No antibody for D. Rhesus negative means no antigen and no antibody. There are 5 rhesus antigens: D, C, small c, E and small e. Out of which D antigen is most powerful antigen. Other antigens like Kelly and Duffy antigens, anti-Kelly is very serious. And this RH negative is less incidence of RH negatives is less in Asians, that is less than 1%. What is isoimmunization? A process by which immune antibodies are produced in a person by the entry of an antigen of another individual of the same species, the former lacking the antigen. What is RH isoimmunization? It occurs when there is a different RH blood type between that of pregnant mother and of fetus. That is RH negative mother and RH positive fetus. That is RH isoimmunization. See here, the fetus is positive, RH positive. Mother is RH negative. Mother doesn't have any antigen. So when fetus antigen mixes with comes in contact with mother's antigen, it produces antibodies to RH positive. So RH positive antibodies are developed in mother. They attack RH positive fetus cells. So here the coating of RH positive blood cell with antibodies that causes lysis. RH isoimmunization occurs, mismatched blood transfusion, RH negative woman bearing RH positive fetus with feto-maternal hemorrhage. Other causes: ectopic pregnancy, partial molar pregnancy, blighted ovum, antepartum hemorrhage, external version, platelet transfusion, placenta previa, placental abruption, abdominopelvic trauma, in utero fetal death, and any invasive obstetric procedure such as amniocentesis, lack of prenatal care, postpartum, and spontaneous abortion. All in these cases, there is a contact between maternal and fetal blood. So, which is anti-D is lacking in RH negative mother. So, antibodies are produced when it comes in contact with D antigen. So, this is how we see RH positive father, RH negative mother. So, RH negative mother with RH positive baby. Sometimes the baby might be RH negative. So, there is no problem when the baby is RH negative. There is no antibodies in mother and same blood group. So, the mother won't develop any antibodies. So, RH negative mother with RH positive baby. Here, when the blood what we have discussed before, in those cases there is a fetal-maternal hemorrhage and the fetal blood comes in contact with the mother's blood. So in mother, the antibodies will develop here. A few months later, mother's bloodstream antibodies to Rh positive fetus. So when in later pregnancy, because to develop antibodies it takes few months, so by that time the baby will be delivered, so it won't affect the first baby. So in later pregnancy, if in that case, if the next baby is also Rh positive, the antibodies to Rh positive developed in previous pregnancy, they attack the fetus. The pathophysiology. Following fetal-maternal hemorrhage, initial responses forming IgM antibodies for the short period. So 6 weeks to 6 months. So the IgM antibodies do not cross placenta. So it won't affect the present pregnancy. Followed by production of IgG and subsequent pregnancy which crosses placenta. IgG antibodies adhere to the antigen site on the surface of erythrocytes causing hemolysis. The excessive removal of circulatory RBCs lead to severe anemia and hypoxia in the fetus. See here, following fetal-maternal hemorrhage, initial response forming IgM antibodies for the short period, that is 6 weeks to 6 months. Here placenta, and we see here in the fetus what is happening in the fetus and in the placenta. In the placenta, from placenta, the blood cells entering into the maternal circulation. Those are cleared by macrophage. So this is a division. The yellow line is a division between the mother and fetus. The upper division is mother and the lower division is the fetus. That is the barrier is the placenta. In placenta and maternal fetal hemorrhage occurs in some procedures, whatever we have discussed the causes. In that cases, there is a fetal maternal hemorrhage. In that cases, the fetal blood enters into the maternal circulation. There the blood cells are initially they are cleared by macrophages, and then they sensitize the plasma stem cells. So IgM antibodies are produced. But IgM antibodies are very large. They can't cross the placenta. But after few months, what happens? In the few months, the macrophage antigen presenting cells, like the previous in previous pregnancy, it is sensitized. Next time, what happens? The same thing happens if it repeats. Next baby is also Rh negative, Rh positive. In case of Rh negative mother, the fetal blood cells crosses the placenta, enters into the maternal circulation. There, macrophage antigen presenting cell, now T helper cell and B helper cell, through that IgG antibodies are produced. So followed by production of IgG and subsequent pregnancy which crosses placenta, IgG antibodies adhere to the antigen site on the surface erythrocytes causing hemolysis here. So here this is a flowchart showing IgG antibody against Rh antigen crosses the placenta. Fetal RBCs have Rh antigen and antibody reaction. Fetal RBC destroyed. So because of the fetal RBC destroyed, these are the consequences. What happens? RBC is decreased. That means anemia in the fetus. So to compensate erythropoiesis, hepatosplenomegaly occurs. Because of the lysis, hemolysis, jaundice occurs. And to compensate hypoxia because of anemia, placenta hypertrophy of placenta occurs. Placentomegaly. These are the consequences of hemolysis. So here is the flowchart showing that Rh antibodies, antibody-coated red cells, destruction of fetal cells by fetal reticular endothelial system, and fetal anemia occurs, fetal hypoxia stimulate erythropoietin, extramedullary erythropoiesis occurs, result in hepatosplenomegaly, hepatic failure, then hypoproteinemia, increased intrahepatic pressure, and portal hypertension. Because of that, what happens in the baby? Ascites, edema, hypoproteinemia. These are the consequences of hypoproteinemia. Ascitic edema, hypoxia, placental thickness, that is placental hypertrophy to compensate hypoxia. Polyhydramnias and pericardial effusion. These are the consequences of hemolysis and hypoxia and hypoproteinemia. Signs of fetal anemia. Polyhydramnias, enlarged fetal heart, ascites, and pericardial effusions. Hyperdynamic fetal circulation. And reduced fetal movements, abnormal CTG with reduced variability. Clinical manifestations of hemolytic diseases of newborn. Icterus gravis neonatum, hydrops fetalis, congenital anemia of the newborn. These are the three. This is the spectrum. These are the clinical manifestations spectrum of hemolytic of RH negative pregnancy and babies RH positive. These are the clinical manifestations, and this is the spectrum of the events 3. So clinical manifestation, what we have discussed, this is the spectrum. Among them, hydrops fetalis is the most serious complication, and fetal death occurs sooner or later due to cardiac failure. And moderate severity is icterus gravis neonatum. Effect of lesser form of fetal hemolysis. Baby born alive without evidence of jaundice soon develops jaundice within 24 hours. And congenital anemia is the mildest form, where hemolysis is going on at slow rate, develops slowly within first few weeks of life. Destruction of red cells occurs up to 6 weeks, after which maternal antibodies are not available for destruction. So liver and spleen are enlarged. So we'll come to hydrops fetalis, which is a serious condition. Excessive destruction of fetal red cells lead to severe anemia, tissue anoxemia, and metabolic acidosis. Hyperplasia of the placental tissue occurs in an effort to increase the transfer of oxygen, but the available fetal red cells are progressively diminished due to hemolysis. As a result of fetal anoxemia, there is damage to the liver, leading to hypoproteinemia, which is responsible for generalized edema, ascites, and hydrothorax. Fetal death occurs sooner due to cardiac failure. The baby is either stillborn or macerated, or even if born alive, dies soon after. This is hydrops fetalis flowchart. Excessive destruction of fetal red cells here, it leads to anemia. Because of anemia, tissue hypoxia, tissue anoxemia, and metabolic acidosis. An effort of placenta compensatory hyperplasia of placenta that leads to hypoproteinemia. Extramedullary, another way, extramedullary hematopoiesis, hepatic dysfunction, that is also leads to hypoproteinemia. Because of hypoproteinemia, generalized edema, ascites, and hydrothorax. All these together, generalized edema, that means ascites, hydrothorax, pleural effusion, everything, so much fluid accumulation in the extracellular spaces. This is called hydrops fetalis. See the picture of hydrops fetalis, that is swollen liver because of extramedullary hematopoiesis and severe abdominal swelling due to ascites. That is a consequence of hypoproteinemia. This is the picture showing the baby of the hydrops fetalis. Features of hydrops fetalis. And that is, this is the ultrasound picture, edema in skin and scalp, pleural effusion, pericardial effusion, echogenic bowel. Baby at birth, baby looks pale, edematous, enlarged abdomen due to ascites. Placenta is large, pale, edematous with fluid oozing from it. Increased weight may be equal to fetal weight. The placenta weight is equal to fetal weight. Swelling of villi due to accumulation of fluid. This is a picture of scalp edema and abdominal distension and swollen feet and hands. The next one is the spectrum. We've discussed about hydrops fetalis. The next one is icterus gravis neonatum. That is less severe form of hemolytic disease. Baby born alive without jaundice, but soon develops jaundice within 24 hours of the birth. So coming to the icterus gravis neonatum. The baby is born without evidence of jaundice, but soon develops within 24 hours. While fetus is in utero, there is a destruction of fetal red cells with the liberation of unconjugated bilirubin, which is mostly excreted in placenta into the maternal system. That is, when it that's why the baby won't develop jaundice when with the evidence of jaundice when the baby was born. But whenever the baby is delivered, there is the system is not well developed in the baby to excrete the whole bilirubin. That's why it develops jaundice within 24 hours. As the umbilical cord is clamped with continuing hemolysis, the bilirubin concentration is increased. Sooner or later, baby develops jaundice. If the bilirubin rises to critical level of 20 mg per 100 ml, that is 340 micromoles per liter. Normal bilirubin level is 30 micromoles per liter. That is more than 10 times increased. That is 20 mg per 100 ml. That is critical level. The bilirubin crosses the blood-brain barrier to damage the basal nuclei of the brain, permanently producing the clinical manifestations of a kernicterus. Icterus gravis neonatal. Jaundice do not occur before delivery because bilirubin produced by the destruction of the cells in the fetal spleen passes via placenta to the maternal circulation and then to the maternal liver, from where it is conjugated by glucuronide transferase and excreted. But the liver of the neonate do not produce glucuronide transferase, cannot convert bilirubin to excretable level of bilirubin accumulates in the tissues, causing tissue damage. So this is before delivery. So incompatible fetus, antibody coated, fetal spleen, hemoglobin, and indirect bilirubin is crossing the placenta, and the maternal liver it is excreted. So it is excreted through maternal mother. But in fetus, the same antibody coated blood cells, the same spleen, fetal spleen, and hemoglobin is produced, and indirect hemoglobin is lysed, and indirect bilirubin is produced, and the liver can't compatible with the excessive bilirubin. The liver cannot clear the excessive bilirubin because of less glucuronide transferase. So bilirubin, that's why jaundice occurs. So if the concentration of bilirubin in the newborn blood exceeds 20 milli, that is the limit, upper limit, 20 milligrams per 100 ml, the kernicterus develops. Bilirubin crosses the blood-brain barrier and damages the basal nuclei. The organs damaged in the brain are basal nuclei. The level of the bilirubin is 20 mg per 100 ml. The signs of kernicterus: poor suck, lethargy, hypotonia and seizures. The hypotonia and fever. Then first hypotonia develops, then hypertonia and fever. The third category in the spectrum is congenital anemia of the newborn. This is the less severe form. The destruction of the red cells continue up to 6 weeks, after which the antibodies, that is IgG antibodies, which crosses the placenta from the maternal blood, which came from the maternal blood, enters the fetal circulation through placenta. These antibodies continuously destructs the RBCs in the baby until 6 weeks. After that, these antibodies are not available for hemolysis. The quantity which entered are present until 6 weeks. The liver and spleen are enlarged. Causes RH incompatible. Risk factors: pregnant women with RH negative blood who had a prior pregnancy with fetus that was positive. RH positive. Previous fetus was RH positive, then only it occurs, because in previous pregnancy there is exposure and IgG antibodies developed after 6 months. It takes almost 6 months. So the previous fetus won't be affected. The present fetus will be affected by previous RH positive fetus, and the present also should be RH positive. Pregnant woman who had a prior blood transfusion, that is also if incompatible blood. That is means not APO incompatibility, RH incompatibility. So if by accidentally, if the mother is given RH positive, if his mother is A negative, by accidentally if the mother was given A positive blood, the antibodies will be developed. No need to be, she might have been pregnant previously. By the time in the first pregnancy itself, she might have developed antibodies in the previous exposure. Pregnant women with RH negative blood who did not receive RH immunization prophylaxis during a prior pregnancy with RH positive fetus. Effects on mother. RH immunization is suspected in utero when mother develops polyhydramnios, preeclampsia, maternal syndrome called generalized edema, proteinuria, pruritus due to cholestasis, postpartum hemorrhage, weak placenta and blood coagulopathy. DIG, retention of dead fetus in utero. Prevention. The aim of prevention of RH immunization is to prevent active immunization, to prevent fetal-maternal bleed, to avoid mismatched transfusion, to prevent active immunization of unimmunized RH anti-D immunoglobulin administered to the mother following the childbirth. Anti-D is also given in other conditions also with fetal-maternal blood. Mechanism of action of anti-D is it blocks RH antigen of fetal cell. Intact antibody cells are removed by spleen and kidney. When to administer? Within 72 hours of delivery or abortion or any procedure, but it is not later than 14 to 28 weeks. But even if that is more effective if it is given within 3 days. It can be given up to 2 to 4 weeks, but it is not as much as effective if it is given not as much as effective if it is given within 3 days of the delivery. Given in RH positive baby of RH negative mother with direct test negative. Similarly, RH status cannot be determined and then it is no harm to give anti-D. Dose. First trimester abortion or MTP 50 micrograms. First trimester ectopic pregnancy 50 micrograms. Second trimester abortion or MTP 30 micrograms. Second trimester amniocentesis 30 micrograms. Prophylaxis at 28 weeks 300 micrograms. After delivery 300 micrograms. Generally 300 micrograms of anti-D will protect from 30 ml of fetal blood. This is the picture of showing RH anti-D injection. That is 300 it is available as 300 micrograms, 150 micrograms dose. This is the standard dose of anti-D. 300 micrograms will eradicate 15 ml of fetal blood cells, routine for all RH negative pregnancies within 3 days of delivery. If more fetal maternal bleeding is suspected as an abruption or antepartum hemorrhage, do Kleiner-Betke test to estimate the amount of fetal red cells in maternal circulation and recalculate the dose of anti-D, because usually what we do routinely we'll give 300 micrograms of anti-D immediately after delivery or in the procedures after second trimester. But sometimes it might not be sufficient. If you suspect fetal-maternal hemorrhage such as abruption and antepartum hemorrhage, there is a lot of fetal-maternal, lot of mixing of fetal blood with mother. So mother produces more antibodies. That is, the 300 micrograms of antibodies cannot compensate the exposure of the fetal cells. So to recalculate the dose of anti-D, that is the Kleiner-Betke test. Fetal-maternal hemorrhage. Amount of antibody production varies with the amount of fetal red cells entered into the maternal circulation. Quantity tests for fetal-maternal hemorrhage is done by Kleiner-Betke test and flow cytometry. Calculation of dose by Kleiner-Betke test are that the Kleiner-Betke test other name is acid elution test. It is performed on maternal blood to assess the amount of fetal-maternal blood transfusion. The principle is hemoglobin F, that is fetal hemoglobin, is more resistant to acid elution than maternal hemoglobin, that is HbA. Maternal blood is subjected to acid solution. Acid will elute the adult hemoglobin but not fetal hemoglobin. The dark red fetal cells, light colored, the dark red are fetal cells. Light colored are maternal red cells. So number of fetal cells in 50 low power field is assessed. 80 cells in 50 fields indicate 4 ml of fetal-maternal blood. This is the way how we will calculate how the amount of fetal-maternal bleeding. If it is 100 microgram, 4 ml of fetal-maternal blood means 80 cells in 50 fields. So 100 micrograms will neutralize the 4 ml of fetal-maternal blood. If it is fetal-maternal bleed, we calculated the fetal-maternal bleed. If it is 4 ml, we will give 100. If it is 8 ml, we will give 200. If it is 12 ml, we will give 300 micrograms. In case of heavy maternal bleed, that is more than 30 ml, the dose should be calculated as 10 micrograms per ml. That is, if fetal-maternal bleed is 30 ml, we will give, even then also we will give 30 into 100 means 300 micrograms. That is up to 30 ml we can give 300 micrograms. If it is more than that, for every 10 for every 1 ml we'll have to increase 10 micrograms. Suppose if we take it as 40 ml. 40 ml means 40 into 10 to 400 micrograms. So we have to give 400 micrograms of anti-B. The alternative method is flow cytometry, more accurate result, but the most commonly used is Clay-Herbert test. This is a picture showing fetal-maternal, the antibody coated fetal cells. During pregnancy, due to antepartum hemorrhage and sensitization, due to antepartum hemorrhage and sensitization occurs in 12% of people. If mother is Rh negative and no antibody found, prophylactic 300 micrograms are given at 28 weeks to prevent fetal maternal bleed during cesarean section, prevent blood spilling into the peritoneum. Manual removal of the placenta should not be done as routine. Prophylactic ergometry should be withheld as may cause more fetal-placental bleed. And amniocentesis after localization of placenta by sonography. Manual removal of placenta should be done gently. These precautions, if we take these precautions, it will prevent fetal-maternal bleed. How will you diagnose the Rh immunization? So how will you diagnose that mother is sensitized for Rh with previous Rh negative, Rh positive fetus, that now present mother is Rh negative? How will diagnose Rh isoimmunization occurred? How will you diagnose how that if the fetus is affected or not in the present pregnancy? These are the 4: indirect Coombs test, ultrasound, Doppler studies, and cartosynthesis. Various diagnostic modalities are Rh antibody assay, ultrasound evaluation of the fetus, middle cerebral artery Doppler, amniocentesis, and examination of the amniotic fluid. Antibody screening in the mother. It should be done in Rh negative women who have received anti-T immunoglobulin, Rh positive mother who have blood transfusion, unexplained fetal loss, infant with unexplained jaundice. If direct Coombs test is positive, the father Rh should be tested. If indirect Coombs test is positive, serial maternal anti-T titer should be done every 2 to 4 weeks. If the titer is less than 1 in 16, the fetus is not at risk. If the titer is more than 1 in 16, the severity of the condition should be evaluated. Chorionic villus sampling. To know the fetal Rh genotype, the advantage is early detection. Disadvantage is more complicated, increased severity of immunization if baby is Rh positive, because the procedure itself is causing immunization. This is chorionic villus sampling, the procedure, how we do. Amniocentesis, method of choice for detection of Rh factor of fetus and amniotic fluid bilirubin. Critical titer or previous affected. It is indicated in case of critical titer or previous affected infant. Bilirubin correlates with the fetal hemolysis. Spectrophotometric analysis, optical density of amniotic fluid at optical density 450 nanometers. Data plotted on Lilly curve. This is the Lilly chart. So optical density, based on optical density of the bilirubin level. So we will divide into zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. Optical density up to 0.088 comes under zone 1. 0.08 to 0.04 comes under zone 2. 0.04 to 0.08 to 0.4 comes to zone 2, zone above that zone 3. So based on these zones, we can assess the fetus, we can categorize the risk of fetal death. In zone 1, fetus is not affected. In zone 2, there are 2 lower zone to upper zone 2. The chances of IUDs are moderate, but in zone 3, more likely of IUD. In zone 3 also through two divisions here, and upper zone it is IUD is likely in all cases. This is the procedure how we will do amniocentesis. The amniocentesis is done in at 14 to 16 weeks. Chorionic, the down one is chorionic sampling. Chorionic villus sampling is done at 8 to 10 weeks. But chorionic sampling is, the procedure is a little bit lengthy, but difficult, little bit difficult compared to amniocentesis. But the report is, the result is immediately. By next day we can do the karyotyping and we can get the result immediately. But in case of amniocentesis, we have to culture the fetal cells from the amniotic fluid, and after few weeks we have to do the karyotyping. So it takes a long time. Cardiosynthesis. This is more complicated procedure. Fetal RH phenotype can be known rapidly by blood bank serology. Gold standard for detection of fetal anemia. Greater morbidity and mortality. 2.7% total risk of fetal loss. This is how we do cardiosynthesis, that is fetal blood. It is, as we learned in the, it is for detection of fetal anemia. It is not for detection of, to measure, it is not for measure fetal-maternal hemorrhage. It is for detection of fetal anemia. Non-invasive test, ultrasound to determine hydrops changes like scalp edema, anasarca, effusions, hepato and splenomegaly, umbiliculomegaly, and placentomegaly. And another one is the Doppler velocimetry. Assess peak systolic velocity in middle cerebral artery, aorta, vena cava, and umbilical vein. It will be increased in severe anemia. CTG, that is non-stress test. Biophysical profile. These are the non-invasive tests to determine the affected fetus. So these are the X-ray appearances of hydrops fetalis. Hollow round head due to edema of the scalp. Splaying of ribs. Enlargement of abdomen. Splaying of ribs and enlargement of abdomen are due to enlarged liver and spleen. Abduction of limbs, Buddha attitude due to enlarged abdomen. There is loss of flexion due to enlarged abdomen. Ultrasound, confirmation of gestational age, early detection of hydrops when finding one or more of the following. So ascites, pericardial effusion, pleural effusion, skin edema. Increased placental size, we can see that one in ultrasound. Hepatosplenomegaly also be seen. Ultrasound parameters. Non-reliable parameters are placental thickness, umbilical vein diameter, hepatic size, splenic size, polyhydramnios. Visualization of walls of the fetal bowel from small amounts of intra-abdominal fluid may be first sign of impending hydrops. Ultrasound reliable for hydrops, ascites, pleural effusion, skin edema. Hemoglobin is less than 70 grams per deciliter. This is the ultrasound picture of scalp edema. Fetal ascites. RH immunization. These are the different organs. So middle cerebral artery peak systolic velocity. This is non-invasive procedure which we will see on Doppler. Mother not put at risk for worsening yellow immunization. So it is non-invasive procedure. So there is no yellow immunization procedure. Induced immunization is not there. Can be used with yellow antibodies other than RHD, including anti-KEL antibodies. So it can be, because we are seeing through ultrasound, Doppler. So we don't do any fetal-maternal hemorrhage in this procedure. Biophysical profile surveillance. This is also ultrasound based. So this based on this middle cerebral artery peak systolic velocity will measure. Biophysical surveillance. A means mild anemia. B means moderate to severe anemia. C is no anemia. Management. The aim of antenatal management to predict which pregnancy is at risk, to predict whether or not The fetus is severely affected. To correct anemia and reverse hydrops by intrauterine transfusion, to deliver the baby at appropriate time, weighing the risks of prematurity against these of intrauterine transfusion. Rh negative women categorized into two groups: Rh negative non-immunized women, Rh negative immunized women. Immunized against D antigens, non-D antigens are the blood group systems. Objectives: non-immunized women, prevention of alloimmunization. Immunized women, early detection, adequate treatment of fetal anemia. Management in sensitized pregnancy, standard protocol. In sensitized, management of unsensitized pregnancy means never exposed to Rh negative mother, never exposed to Rh positive blood. Even it is blood transfusion or pregnancy, previous pregnancy, she is non-pregnant, so she doesn't have any antibodies. In that case, what we have to do? Repeat Rh antibody titer. Ultrasound examination of fetus. Intramuscular injection of anti-D of 300 micrograms. Analysis of husband's blood type. To prevent this from occurring, an injection of anti-D immunoglobulin is offered to all unsensitized Rh negative women during 28th week if a repeat Rh antibody titer is still negative. No need to perform an ultrasound examination of the fetus. The antibody screening must be repeated at 35th week gestation if negative, and if negative, the woman kept on observation. If it is positive, she should be managed on the lines of sensitized patient. Rh negative non-immunized. Phenotype of father is determined. Whenever the Rh negative pregnancy mother comes, we have to do the phenotype of the father. The phenotype of father is Rh positive. Antepartum sensitization of antibody screen and sensitization of antibody screening at 20, 24, 28 weeks. But if it is Rh negative, there is definitely baby is also Rh negative, manages normal pregnancy. If it is Rh positive, husband is Rh positive, antibody screening. So antibody screening done at 20, 24 and 28 weeks. No antibody detected. Patient should be received anti-D immunoglobulin at 28 weeks of gestation at time of delivery to determine the mother's eligibility for second dose of anti-D immunoglobulin. If anti-D body is detected, manage as Rh negative immunized woman. So now, until now, we discussed about Rh negative unimmunized women. Now, the Rh negative immunized women. Maternal titer, we have to measure the Rh antibody assay, that is measure the maternal titer, human antibody titer, that is indirect by indirect Coombs test to determine the degree of alloimmunization. Critical titer, the titer associated with high risk of fetal hydrops. If the Coombs test is positive, in dilution of further evaluation of the fetus is required is 1:16. If the titer is less than that, it is repeated every trimester. If the titer is repeated every 2 weeks thereafter to determine whether there is a trend. Screening test. ABO Rh antibody at the first antenatal visit, at 28 weeks, postpartum bleeding and antepartum bleeding, and before giving any immunoglobulin, neonatal bloods ABO Rh. Gold standard test, indirect Coombs test, mixed Rh-D positive cells with maternal serum, anti-D antibody will adhere. RBC is then washed and suspended in Coombs serum. This is how the procedure of indirect Coombs test. RBC coated with the antibody will be agglutinated. In direct Coombs test, mixed infant's RBC with Coombs serum, maternal antibody present if cells agglutinate. And based on the optical density, as we discussed before, there are the 3 zones based on the amniotic fluid bilirubin, zone 1 and zone 2, zone 3. This is also another classification, Queenan curve for optical density, Rh negative. These also 3 categories, Rh negative unaffected, intermediate and Rh positive. These are also optical density measures of the bilirubin levels. This is another classification of Whitfield action line. This is zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. So all these are based on the bilirubin levels of amniotic fluid. Low zone indicates mild anemia, mid zone indicates mild to severe anemia, high zone severe anemia, impending fetal death. When impending fetal death within 7 to 10 days. Like a normal pregnancy, deliver at 38 weeks. Do regular ultrasound and may have to repeat amniocentesis, fetal well-being test, NST, CTG, biophysical profile, Doppler study. These are the in case of low zone. Mid and high zone. High, mid and high zone will require chordocentesis to assess fetal hemoglobin, hematocrit, platelets and group and type. Reticulocyte count, fetal transfusion through umbilical vein and delivery. Transfusion of O negative fresh blood if hematocrit is less than 30%. Delivery. Low zone and low mid zone delivery at 38 weeks. High mid zone and high zone delivery at 34 weeks selectively by cesarean section. Arrange adequate amount of O negative fresh blood for the newborn. Inform the neonatologist prior to the delivery. High tertiary centers is ideal place for the delivery. Serial amniocentesis. This is Lilly zone 1, the lower zone. Repeat amniocentesis every 2 to 4 weeks. Delivery at or near term. So in amniocentesis, upper zone 2. Lilly zone 1, lower zone 2. Upper zone 2. Repeat amniocentesis in 1 week or fetal blood sampling. Hematocrit less than 30%. Fetal blood sampling, where we will do, how we will do, it is chordocentesis. Hematocrit is less than 30%, intrauterine transfusion should be done. If hematocrit is 30%, repeat sampling after 7 to 14 days. Next, zone 3, hydropneos and hydrops, fetal blood sampling, fetal hematocrit less than 30%, intrauterine transfusion. Fetal hematocrit greater than 30%, follow with fetal blood sampling and ultrasound. Delivery when lung maturation occurs, no need to wait for to improve the blood. Whenever the fetal lung maturity occurs, we have to deliver it. Management during delivery. Vaginal delivery and ICSI immunization. Undergo delivery in the term of 37 to 38 weeks of gestation. Induction of labor is performed by prostaglandin in case of unripe uterine cervix or by intravenous oxytocin infusion administration in case of ripened uterus. Ripened cervix. Vaginal delivery and ICSI immunization. During labor, no fundal pushing in first and second stage of labor. Withhold methogen after anterior shoulder delivery, early cord clamping and no milking. No uterine massage or squeezing in third stage. Let the placenta to be delivered spontaneously to avoid avulsions of the cord. Protect the vaginal and perineal wounds and laceration from being exposed to the fetal blood spilled from the cord. At birth, maternal blood, antibodies by indirect Coombs test from maternal blood, fetal blood cells in the maternal circulation. Cord sample, neonatal blood sample for antibodies by direct Coombs test, infant blood grouping and RH typing, infant bilirubin level, infant hemoglobin and hematocrit level. Direct, what happens in direct Coombs test? Patient sample is taken, that is fetus. Antibodies in IgG Coombs reagent. So if the RBC is coated with IgG, means the baby sample is positive for the presence of mother's antibodies on the surface of RBCs. In erythroblastosis fetalis, agglutination occurs. So already the baby is exposed to coated the RBCs or baby's RBC, fetus RBCs are coated with maternal antibodies. So maternal antibodies are agglutinates with Coombs reagent. So agglutination occurs. This is direct Coombs test positive. Measures to be taken in LSS. Use abdominal packs in the sides of the uterus before opening the lower segment to prevent spillage of blood from the placenta into the peritoneal cavity. Let the placenta to be delivered spontaneously using controlled cord traction without squeezing the uterus. Avoid avulsions of the cord. Pregnant women undergo cesarean section is in ICSI immunization. Severe form of hemolytic infant disease in the term or 34 to 35 weeks after previous antenatal. Prevention of fetal hyaline membrane syndrome. Management. Anti-D immunoglobulin. globulin, fetal blood transfusion. In case of fetal hematocrit less than 30%, and in case of mild jaundice, phototherapy. Routes of administration into umbilical vein at the point of, in case of blood transfusion. In case of intrauterine blood transfusion into the umbilical vein at the point of entry into the cord insertion, into intrahepatic vein, into peritoneal cavity, into fetal heart. Transfused blood should be Rh negative, cross-matched with maternal sample, densely packed, and that is packed cells, white cell depleted and irradiated, screen for infections including cytomegalovirus. Intrauterine fetal transfusion, intraperitoneal transfusion, intravascular transfusion. Intraperitoneal transfusion, blood is transfused to the fetal peritoneal cavity under ultrasound guidance. Correct the fetal anemia when transfused erythrocytes are taken up by subdiaphragmatic lymphatics. It can be started at 18 weeks and repeated at intervals of 1 to 3 weeks to 32 to 34 weeks. Type and amount of blood group O, negative blood group. Type and amount of blood is O negative. Rh negative packed cells cross-matched with mother are to be transfused. The quantity of blood is to be calculated as number of weeks of gestation. The blood is to be infused slowly 5 to 10 ml through a polythene tube that has been threaded through an introducing needle inserted into the fetal abdomen under guidance. Intravascular transfusion. Transfusion is made through umbilical cord vessel near its insertion to the placenta, that is umbilical vein, into the placenta under guidance of ultrasound. Blood group is O negative packed cells compatible with mother's blood cells. Check the hematocrit value at intervals during the procedure to determine the volume. Goal is to achieve a hematocrit of 50%. Repeated transfusions are given 2 weeks. Volume overload, fetal injury, preterm labor, fetal maternal hemorrhage. Fetal surveillance with ultrasound and continuous electronic fetal monitoring should be done in case of during the transfusion. Betamethasone 24 milligrams in divided doses should be given to the mother 24 hours before transfusion from 26 onwards to enhance pulmonary maturity. Direct fetal intravascular transfusion we see here, that is into the umbilical vein. Blood is transfused through the umbilical vein at the site of insertion into the umbilical cord. 22 gauge spinal needle. Other therapies, plasma phases, try to remove several titers of maternal plasma with antibodies. High dose IV immunoglobulins should be given weekly. Management of sensitized newborn. Mild anemia, moderate to severe, and high drops. Mild anemia means hemoglobin less than 14 grams per deciliter. Cord bilirubin more than 4 milligrams per deciliter. Mild. In case of mild, phototherapy is enough. Moderate to severe, exchange transfusion. Mild hydrops improves in 80% or 88% of cases. Severe hydrops mortality is 39%. Thank you.